Right. Crewton Ramone and Crewton Ramone's House of Math. And actually, not really Crewton Ramone's House of Math, more 100 Monkey and Crewton Ramone from Phoenix. We're live. Let's see here. Uh, Number one, I just got back from the Walmart, and it ain't empty. I don't know. I've been stuff on the news. Oh, there's no Mexican. I'm in Phoenix. That Walmart was the one on Thomas and like 36th. So right in the middle of Phoenix. And there were plenty of Mexicans in the parking lot smoking weed. There were plenty of Mexicans in front of the Home Depot looking for work. The parking lot was full. When you get into Walmart, there were lots of everybody was in there. There were Mexicans in there. There were Africans in there. I saw a Somali guy in there. I saw a Nigerian guy in there. I can tell the difference because, unlike you motherfuckers, I can tell the difference because not all those motherfuckers look alike. Nigerians and Somalians definitely don't look alike. Anyway, I saw one of each. The one guy was interesting. He smelled very much of incense, and I knew what kind too. Like I can see the box. But the story is that Walmart is empty because of ice and all the people coming through. Not from what I can see. And I went took a little stroll to the post office the other day, and I don't usually see that many homeless people. And I mean, there were packs of homeless people, not all of them Mexican. And like I said, in Walmart, they were white, they were Mexican, they were Asian, they were African, they were every color. There was not like no Mexicans. There were plenty of Mexicans working there, um, and there were plenty of like I said, we didn't have to wait in a tremendous line, but that's because for a change they had lots of self checkout lanes open, so it wasn't empty, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't crowded, but it wasn't empty by any means. I mean, there was lots of shoppers in there. So every time I turn on alternative media, uh, everybody's telling me how everybody's gone. Well, I don't think so. Just like all social media, it's just thought shaping, and you well know it. So I've never seen a bald Democrat either. I've never seen. Well, that's not true. But I mean, since the election, I haven't seen any Democrat women with no hair wearing blue bracelets and so forth. I'm pretty sure that was social media. And even if it wasn't, let's say there were in fact 100 women, maybe even 500 women that shave their head because they're so pissed off about the election they didn't know what to do with themselves. It's a nation of 350 million. If 500 of them get on Facebook and Instagrams and what else? I can't think. Facebook, Instagram, oh, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, uh, and make a video, that might make it seem like there's a lot, especially if you see like maybe 30 or 40 in your feed. But you got to remember, this is a nation of 350 million people. We didn't even notice hardly when what is it, 80, 65 to 85,000 black women disappeared. Didn't notice because due a percentage of the population, 80,000 women compared to 350 million, yeah, and then you got to divide those 80,000. It's not like they all came from LA or they all came from one city like Dallas or Miami or something. They were spread across 50 states. Uh, Same thing with the missing children and so forth. In a nation this large, they try to make you think one thing by influencing you on social media and making you think that things are one way when in fact they're the other. If you walk outside, it's a lovely day. It's a beautiful sunny day. On social media, everything's falling apart. And oh my God, Trump and Jab Daddy's doing this, and they've got y'all excited over much ado about not too much. Although that's not exactly true because I will say Jab Daddy is doing amazing things. I'm quite surprised at some of the stuff. But see, 99 awesome executive orders, one bad one. And that one bad one makes up for the other 99. Uh, that whole mNRA cancer vaccine $500 billion investment into AI, all the rest of those don't matter. Uh, the idea is stop Skynet while you still can. And while we're on that subject of stuff coming from the sky, one quick one with this. I have an interesting story with this now. There's a lady that I know. She's only doing 3 drops, and she's herxing. That's because she's really poisoned, and she knows it. I was doing 10 drops a day, and didn't really have any ill effects until I stopped taking it, and then definitely had some ill effects because my body got used to getting rid of all the stuff. But this right here, masterpiece. I've been talking about this forever. The crazy things that are going on with this company. They're trying to keep it out of Canada. They're trying to shut them down. That's how you know they're kind of over the target. And also the fact that they've got a lawsuit going on now because people are trying to say that, oh, somehow magically um, seawater and what's the other ingredient in here, Pookie? Yeah, nanozeolite. There you go. Somehow that creates problems when actually it's seawater and nanozeolite. And it's, in my case, and in pretty much everybody I talk to, you could feel the difference. It takes the toxins out. And now they have lots and lots of medical evidence that shows that, yeah, it takes the toxins out. But yet people will tell you the exact opposite, and that's how you know it's the father of lies, the deceiver, will tell you that somehow this will help you build structures and that it activates the nanotechnology in you. And actually what it does is I've heard all kind of stuff. I have personal experience. Our cat's personality changed taking this stuff. It became a much nicer cat. 1 drop a day, just 1 drop. And then, like I said, I have a lady where she is taking just 3 drops a day and having to take it easy because she's a little toxic. And that's how well that stuff works. I was doing 5 in the morning and 5 at night. Definitely noticed a difference. It was not a subtle effect. Okay, that's that. So I bring that up because it goes together with a lot of other stuff. All you people in LA, all you people in Lahaina, all you people, I mean, every other day I walk outside and they try to tell us because they think we're stupid that we don't know the difference between chemtrails and contrails. So the other day we were at the pool because we're here in Arizona and it actually warmed up. It was like, I don't know, 85 yesterday and it's 70s, high 70s, low 80s today. It's lovely, lovely weather, perfect weather. It's like walking around in Makwa in the afternoon on Maui. Anyway, chemtrails like crazy on some days and other days perfectly blue skies. And you can tell the difference. And while we're at the pool, we saw 2 jets because the airport is right there, which is Sky Harbor, right? Phoenix Sky Harbor. And a couple of jets went by in the sky, and they left a little contrail behind them, which dissipated and disappeared as they went by. That's a contrail. But when you see these jets going crisscrossing each way, and the morning starts out perfectly clear like it was today, and then it clouds over, you might understand that that's not a contrail, that's a chemtrail. And I have friends that have biodynamic farms where they measure the soil and how is the aluminum getting there? How's the barium getting there? These are biodynamic farmers. They don't put anything in their soil except what's already on the land. So they run chickens and other pigs and sheep and so forth underneath the trees. They don't get any fertilizer. They don't get any outside adjuncts. Only what's on the land, except for seeds, where they plant plants. But they don't put any other thing in there. So how is the aluminum getting there? How is the barium getting there? Must be falling from the sky. And it's like pounds per acre, guys. It's not like trivial amounts. So one more time, you want this. And on that same note, because you can't help it, you can't get away from it, so don't stress about it, just take it out. You're going to put it in, it's going to be an ongoing and constant battle. Now, when it comes to things going on in Maui and LA and other places are also probably going to burn here soon, never mind all that, the aftermath, you need respirators, not masks. Masks are not sufficient. The kind that they gave you for the bullshit story that was bullshit, that won't do it. It's certainly better than no thing, but it doesn't protect you from all the carcinogens. Because when plastic burns and all the stuff that burns in a modern building like this, the paint on these walls when it combusts, the pipes underneath the sink, the pipes to the shower, the sewer pipes, we don't make them out of copper anymore. They're all made out of PVC. And when you burn PVC, you get gnarly CFAs and all kind of Can you do the math? You can't do the math when you add fire to it. But anyway, you get gnarly carcinogens. Those carcinogens, you can barely smell them. But when they get in you, they're in there pretty much forever. All right, so don't let them in the first place is the idea on that one. And how do you not let them in the first place? Wear sufficient face wear. When it comes to the respirators that you see the guys painting with in body shops, and so that's the kind of respirator you want. You want you don't need a full-on gas mask, but you definitely need a respirator that will filter out all of those tiny forever chemicals that they'll go right through your mask. The same way the other mask was of no use for stopping the stuff you're not even allowed to talk about. Really, free nation that we're living in. And I am not allowed because I'm worried about getting censored if I say the word COVID. What the fuck happened to this country? Anyway, the idea being is that those masks do not suffice at all. You need respirators. If you're gonna, right, they're all talking about, well, we want to get into our house and our land and clear. I'm all for it, absolutely. Can't believe that a mayor or a governor would tell you you can't go back on your own property until they, clean some evidence up. But anyway, they were talking about, making you wait 18 months. I think you're probably going to get back faster than that because that's going to be politically incorrect. But they were doing the same thing to the people in Hawaii, trying to make it so that the people in Lahaina couldn't get back to their houses. And I'm watching all these people in Rawaslipa and shorts and, maybe a mask or maybe they got their shirt like this. Not sufficient. And you're not going to die tomorrow. Right? You might feel, some people talked about they felt a little sick afterwards. Oh, well, yeah, it's because you just poisoned yourself massively. And then, of course, your body detoxes most of it, but there's a lot of stuff that stays, and over time, that will give you cancer. So the point is, put on a mask that is a respirator, not just a piece of cloth, because that cloth never did anything, never will, can't. So if you know people, you might mention that they should be using a respirator. And then the other part is, even with the respirator, and even if you're going to be exposed to that stuff, get it back out again. And this is one of the ways to get it back out. There's lots of different ways. That one just happens to be cheap and easy, $50 for 2 months supply. And clinical results know it works. But there's all kind of other stuff that you can use that isn't that, like black seed oil and all the green ones, spirulina, chlorella, green leafy vegetables, spinach, lots of vitamin C. We like the vitamin C. Take the vitamin C. Take much vitamin C, more than you normally would. And then quercetin. But there's a bunch of things you can use to detox. But you're going to need to detox because you're around serious carcinogens, not to mention the stuff that they're spraying from the sky, which seems to have nanotech in it. You're under assault. It's as simple as that. Same thing. Maui is under assault. You guys are on the list, right? If I talk about it's just bad weather. It might not just be bad weather. Just the same thing in LA. If an army came in, they couldn't have done better. Just utter devastation. You saw it. On Maui, only in Lahaina, but now they're washing away the roads. What's one of the things you do when you're harassing a populace? Is you cut off their roads. And so now you have South Kihei Road seems to have fallen, and parts of it have fallen into the ocean. I wouldn't know because I'm not there. I'm here in Phoenix, but I've seen pictures and I've talked to people, and looks like South Shore. So, Lahaina income source, South Shore beaches and roads. What a coincidence! It's just bad weather, and you're not done yet. And here's the other thing, warning for some of you. Many places here, and didn't happen here in Phoenix, we're talking about this fog, this white fog. Turns out some people actually did take samples because they were clever enough not to just endure it. They took samples, took video, so on, and comes back, there seems to be parasites in a lot of those fogs on the coasts. Micro, tiny parasites, self-assembling nano parasites. I think they're, and this is just my opinion, don't have anything to go on that's more than just what I've seen in videos and people, on TikTok and other places and places like this making videos, where it seems to be partially organic and partially technology, which is the same thing as the mNRA technology that they want to foist upon you. if you actually, this crowd, I'm speaking of the choir. I don't think there's too many people except for maybe one or two that would go ahead and be silly with the with the jab jatty juice. But the amazing thing is that after everything that's happened in the last 4 years, uh, there are still people that would do it, and there are still people. I have a friend. She calls them the medwives, not the midwives, the medwives, because they're looking for shots for their kids. They're looking for right. They're midwives. They haven't learned anything, and they should be able to trust their government. They should be able to trust their doctors. They should be able to trust the media, but they can't. And some of them, that's too much cognitive dissonance. They cannot believe that their doctor or whoever it is would do something unsafe to their children. You can't tell me the doctors don't know. You can't tell me the nurses didn't notice. Uh, there's going to be a reckoning that's coming because too many people have been damaged and harmed. And Americans don't like being damaged and harmed, especially when it's fraud. Uh, and I think there's going to be much more of a backlash than you see right now coming. Okay, so those are the main things I want to talk about. Just real quick on the ground, like I said, I don't see the Mexicans being gone. There have been, and I haven't seen them personally. I've just seen them on social media or read about them in the news and so forth. That there have been some more dramatic ice busts with some of the gang leaders and higher ups that are here illegally. But be careful. They got you rooting for ICE, and the guys that are on the border can just as easily turn around and point the other direction and keep you from leaving. Uh, Posse contaminatus being suspended is of concern, or should be of concern, because right now there's a majority of people that are happy that this is happening because we've got Marines operating on our border, and people have been talking about how they'll go and fight and defend another border, but not ours. Well, got to start defining some terms here. What do you mean by ours? Is there a difference between U.S., United States, and United States of America? Is there a difference between the Constitution for the United States of America and the United States Constitution? Wait, let me say it again. The Constitution for the United States of America and the U.S. Constitution. Do you think those two documents are the same? I can assure you they're not, especially when you get to 13 and 14 of the amendments. But the point being is, I don't see a lack of Mexicans or any other immigrants. Like I said, when I was there, you can tell if those people had green cards or they're here legally or what. And certainly there wasn't like ICE crawling around in the streets and police everywhere. It's regular old business as usual, pretty much, as far as I can see. And everywhere I've been too, it's the same thing. One of the stores that I've been to, I've been to Sprouts and Trader Joe's and where else? And then we were just at Walmart. Anyway, all the places that I've been for just like regular trivial shopping, it's business as usual. It's not quiet. It's not empty. It's not a ghost town. Oh, El Super, which is as Mexican as it gets. If you go El Super during the daytime, and they got great deals in there, by the way, and excellent food and a lot of products from Mexico, which are going to get marked up here. But because El Super is huge, they buy in bulk and pass the savings on to us. But they got like a great bakery and butcher shop and, oh man, old school supermarket, old school Mexican supermarket. Okay, you go in the daytime, there's no Mexicans there. Why? Because they're in school and they're working. The Mexicans here, for the most part, are citizens, and they're working class stiffs, and I guarantee you they're not Democrats. And they're also not real keen on the Pisces. We'll talk about that in just a second. But anyway, if you go during the daytime, yeah, it's pretty quiet. It's empty. That's when I go because it's quiet and empty. Because if you go around right around 4:15, 4:30, you can literally see the parking lot filling up and the Mexicans coming because in their culture, most of the women shop on a daily basis. Or, a couple of 2, 3 times a week. They don't shop like the way I shop generally is I try to buy 2 weeks in advance so I don't have to go because I don't want to be out in about at all. So I try to get as much stuff. I go to Costco and places like that. And by the way, Costco, same thing, busy. It's not a ghost town in there either. and lots of Mexicans in Costco saving money. But anyway, at El Super, at 4:15 or 4:20, they're not smoking weed. They're going to get food because fresh vegetables and all the produce, and they've got a deli there with all kind of Mexican products like sausages and salsas and sour creams that they make themselves and all kind of great stuff. Okay, by 5 o'clock it's pretty busy in there, and then around 7 starts to. By then everybody's done their shopping, they're home eating. That's the normal flow of life here. Like I said, they don't just shop once a week, or right, they shop constantly. And from what I've seen, that hasn't changed at all. I saw, like I said, at I'm going to say 4:30 or so, the place started packing up. And see, that's when I'm trying to get out the door because I try to avoid the crowds. So, again, I haven't seen this mass exodus that some people are talking about but this is Phoenix again. I'm not reporting from Texas. I'm not reporting from Mexico or California. I'm boots on the ground right here in Phoenix, and part of the reason why we didn't drive today, I walked over there and then walked around, was so that I could see literally what's going on the ground. And what's going on the ground is business as usual, right? And that's the other thing too. When we're walking home, because of the way things are here in Arizona, the smell of ganja and people smoking weed just out in the street, no big deal. Are they harming anybody? Right? There was a time when Kamala, who wasn't black, would have had those people arrested and put in prison for just standing on the side of the street smoking a cigarette that happened to have, right? And this is the other thing. Who made that? That plant? It grows up out of the ground. You're gonna tell who other than demons would take a plant and demonize it? Who other than demons would take something like milk and demonize that? Like suddenly raw milk will kill you. Like suddenly raw eggs will kill you. It's insane. That is the sign of the deceiver. They tell you the exact opposite of the truth. That's how you know it comes from the father of lies. Anyhow, and that's the other thing. I was just going to do the boots on the ground thing, but we're in for a little bit, and so we're toward the end of it, and most people have already signed off and won't ever hear this because nobody watches the video to the end. But the idea that, first off, you guys stood on stickers, took shots, reeking of hand sanitizer, 6 feet apart. The rest of us, well, not the rest of us, but many of us were telling you complete bullshit. All of it was bullshit. Just bullshit. Just bullshit. And you guys fell for it. Not only did you fall for it, you were smuggling about it. I'm like, oh, you're not standing 6 feet away. See, that's another reason I had to move from Hawaii. Because just like I was telling the guy today, one of the reasons why I came here is because I couldn't walk into a fucking any place. But we'll just take Costco for example. But Costco on Maui. Oh, you're not wearing a mask. You gotta have a mask. I go in there with a plague doctor mask. Oh, that plague doctor mask isn't good enough because I'm making fun of you idiots. They're trying to force me to put a little paper mask on, the blue one that has that actually has bad stuff in it already in there. No, won't do it. I come here a day later, literally, because I went to Costco before I got on the plane. A day later, walk into the Costco here. Hi, sir. Right? No big deal. That's why, right? And I have had the right to move from one state to another, and any place on the planet, actually, that was given to me by God Almighty, right? Not by a corporation, not by Donnie, not by Joe, not by Kamala, not by any of these fucking idiots. You have the right to locomote yourself from one place to another on this planet without any fucking buddy saying anything about it. There are others that want to tell you different, but that's not the case. Now, if you've surrendered your rights, that's a whole other animal. But if you're reserving them and they're still messing with you, then you need to be able to administrate your public officials. And I'm not going to go there, but the idea being is that here in Arizona, it is not blue. It's still pretty red. And there in Hawaii, I was in Makawao at the minute stop. And apparently I was standing too close to this Hawaiian woman. And I come from Waihe. She wanted to scrap me, I would have been happy to scrap her. Happy to. And then go out in the parking lot and scrap with the boyfriend too. Right? Because I was standing too close to her. They had you people so fooled it was ridiculous. Anyway, and that's when I said I gotta get out of this state. I gotta just go because, anyway, enough with you people. Right? You guys want to be like that? Be like that. I'm not gonna be like that with you. And now some people are starting to figure out that maybe we made a mistake. Mistakes were made on both sides. No. Going to the beach and having guys with guns tell you that you couldn't go to the beach, that's actually a maxim of law. No man can be kept from the sea. And yet they were keeping you from the sea because of COVID. And they had badges and guns. And a lot of you guys figured out that a lot of these guys, and I mean all of them, I'm not just talking about my cops, order takers, that's all they do. They don't know how to do anything else than take orders. So if they're giving orders on the border, like I said, they're not going to be like, well, that doesn't sound constitutional to me. Promise. They just do what they're told. Doesn't matter what a breach of human rights or what, they just do what they're told. And they got badges and guns and clubs. What are you going to do about it? Okay. Well, what you might want to do about it is learn how to administer them. And they hate that. Oh, they hate that. But you understand that the people formed the government, right? And that government was supposed to serve and do a couple of things, like one, keep the illegals out. And let's talk about that for just a second. The math on this, because I've been doing the math for quite a bit on just, noodling it out, the back of the envelope type calculations. And yes, I have a friend that has come to visit. Why are you talking to them and not talking to me? Anyway, here, I'll see if I can grab him. Nope, he won't let me grab him. He's upset. Where was I? Before I got interrupted by Ziggy, the mathematical cat. Totally derailed my train of thought. The administering the citizens and how you have basically a group of people that created government, and one of the things they were supposed to do was, keep us from being invaded by foreign invaders. Now, see, it gets really interesting to me because I believe in states' rights, and at the same time, you've got the states kind of sort of breaking common sense law where do you really want all these guys that are not... See, if you can do the math, a lot of the things that they say doesn't even affect you, but it seems to affect a lot of other people. Like when they're like, well, who's going to pick your vegetables? Of course, the Democrats have always worried about if you free the slaves, who's going to babysit our kids, and who's going to pick the vegetables, and who's going to slog our toilets? Even on TV, they've said this. A lot of faux pas. About 1%. See my one finger there? About 1% of those illegals that were, and calling them illegals, migrants, these are men and women that are crossing imaginary lines. Anyway, they come in here and stress your school system, your medical, all the social services and so forth. About 1% of them are actually here 100% illegally picking vegetables. Because just like us, they don't like work hard. That's hard work. I've done it. I've picked pine. I've worked in field labor. It's hard work. Okay, they're not lining up to cross the border to go do that hard work. They are lining up to cross the border when you find out, okay, who are the hospitalers? If you don't know who the hospitalers are, you should look into the hospitalers. They run many of our hospitals. They also run many of our hotels because they're hospitalers. That's what they do. Now, the hospitalers have figured out that if you can get the government to give you huge sums of money for every migrant that you put in your hotel, you don't have to do hotel business anymore. You just get government subsidies, and you get paid for every room where you have these migrants in there. So the hospitalers are making money, right? Okay, then you gotta feed them, so they're giving them all kind of cards, and there's been all kind of, and I believe them too, where quote-unquote U.S. citizens were getting a whole lot less, like 500 or 700, and these immigrants or migrants were getting cards that had like 3,500 on them. Okay, every time you use the card, they make money on that, right? So they're making obscene amounts of money on millions and millions of migrants. putting them up in hotels, right? So now the properties make money because before, with the COVID thing, people weren't traveling and their hotels were empty. So what did they do? It's one club. See, here's the other thing, motherfuckers. You guys want to pretend like there's two tents. There's not two tents. There's one tent. It's the tent mercata. It's the merchant's tent. The tent is administered by United States government, United States corporation, which is a de facto government. It was authorized by the Constitution for the United States under the administration. But see, they did a bunch of fraud to make you think that it was something else, that it isn't. But it's one tent. That tent comes in two colors. Well, maybe three, but the libertarians really don't count. There's red guys and there's blue guys. And it's under one tent. You guys are all in the same tent. There is no Republican tent over there and a Democrat tent over there. In fact, if you look at who Trump brought in with him, Dems was Democrats. Except for the fact that the Democrats can't seem to hold a primary, and when they do, they cheat whoever wins. But they didn't cheat. They certainly wouldn't cheat in the other ones. See, if it used to be, you couldn't even say this out loud in the free country where you have First Amendment rights. You couldn't even question the fact that maybe. And here in Arizona, are you fucking kidding me? Oh my God. I have firsthand knowledge because I certainly don't vote in the elections. But I'm related to people who, well, semi-related to people who did, and they weren't allowed to vote. They couldn't get a ballot that worked. They stood in line forever. So that right there, they're trying to make attrition. And then when you did get a ballot, the ballot didn't work. And. On the Republican side, Democrats didn't seem to have a problem. And speaking of that, I'm all over the place because I didn't finish that. Rasas and Paisas. Let's talk about that. Rasas are basically, and they have come in all flavors, but those are basically American Mexican gangs. These are guys, they sell fentanyl, they sell women, they sell guns, they sell anything. They traffic all kind of stuff, illicit substances. Real gangsters. Okay, then there's Paisas, also real gangsters, but they're not Americans. They're Colombians, they're Venezuelans, they're Mexicans, and see, this is the thing, people don't understand. You think, oh, they're all Mexicans, because you guys are all fucking racist as hell, and you can't tell the difference between, an Indian and a black woman. Put a dress on a black man, and you'll call him the first lady. Anyway, the Rasas can tell the difference, and if you are a Mexican Sinaloa, that's not going to be the same as one of the guys on this side of the border. Because, I'm pretty confident that it won't be long before I can drive to a war. 4 or 6 hours, I can be there and watch firsthand, right? Just drive south, because it's about to pop off down there. The idea, though, is that these guys don't get along. The American gangs don't get along, and the Paisas don't even get along, right? Just because they're all from south of the border, the Venezuelan gangs don't get along with the Colombian gangs, don't get along with the Guatemalan gangs. And by the way, the Guatemalan gangs, from what I understand, have been pretty much, that is true, has been decimated because of that president. But the idea that there are, these guys are all working together no, they all sell drugs. They all sell fentanyl. They sell fentanyl at various rates. Some gangs sell it cheaper. Some gangs sell it more because some of them can get, one of those pills for like 25 cents and then turn around and sell them for $30 or $40. In fact, I was talking to a guy, he was lamenting that he had gotten all this stash of little blue, and these things will kill you, for, I can't remember what it was. Some it was, he was getting them for like 50 cents, and he was selling them for like $8 or $10. And then he found out he could have been selling them for $30 or $40 because he wasn't that smart of a gangster. But anyway, the point is that the Paisas don't like the Rasas. They don't get along. It's not going to be like one force against the United States Marines or our military. It's going to be multiple forces that are not that well coordinated or organized. Some of them are well trained. There's one gang in particular that's well known that it's most of the capos and the guys further up and the soldiers and so on are actual ex-military. and they didn't stay in the United States. They went back to their country, but they were trained by United States military, so they're good killers. They're special. They're, you know, I don't know if they're on par with our special forces, but they've been trained by special forces, and some of them are ex-special forces from various branches of the military: Air Force, Army, Marines, Navy, etc. That's going to be one to contend with. But the other, some of those other guys, those are just like regular mobsters. They've never had serious weapons training, although they know what they're about when it comes to weapons, but they haven't had like serious weapons training or serious tactical training like our guys have. And when I say our guys, I mean United States Corporation. Those are absolute U.S. citizens. You have to sign a document that says you're a U.S. citizen and that you're willing to become property. You ain't no American citizen anymore. American citizens make up United States citizens, but you start off as an American. You start off in your state, and then through fraud and a lot of coercion and stuff that people refuse to try to understand, they convert you into a U.S. citizen, thereby getting you to waive. You can never give them away, and you can never surrender them completely, but you can waive them temporarily. Your basic, unalienable, fundamental, God-given rights, and you exchange them for benefits and privileges and rights delineated by the Constitution, right? U.S. Constitution. And U.S. Constitution, wait a minute, you're not even party to that thing. You know who is? Employees and officers of the government of United States Corporation. But that's why when you walk into court, don't be talking about the United States Constitution. It does not apply. You're in the tent mercata. You're in the merchant's tent. And the merchant's tent, once again, is administered and created by United States. And the merchant tent is right outside the Temple of Liberty. If you want to get into the Temple of Liberty, and here's a little bit of evidence. This is an unopened envelope. That is a 3-cent stamp. You'll notice that it got delivered. That's because this is post. See, the other stuff is mail. See, the United States of America's post office is still in effect, but you don't know that. So what you do is mail everything, and mail costs a whole lot more than 3 cents. Right? The United States Postal Service, as opposed to the United States Post Office. Those are two different things. One's military, because this is martial law, and one isn't. Look, there's a whole long document all about it. And see, what I have to do is go to my postmaster and let him know that I'm going to be using some 3-cent stamps and doing post here, not just mail. The easiest, best way to go about it is with mail, though, because mail will get there, and post may or may not get there, and even mail may or may not get there at this point. That's how bad it's gotten. Anyhow, the idea is that the corporation is going to war with some other cartels. The corporation also runs drugs. The corporation also traffics children. The corporation also, and that should be blatantly obvious. Now, you got one side that's much more involved in the traffic, but you can't tell me that it's a Democrat thing or a Republican thing or anything. It is a thing that the United States Corporation does. It's a person that they use, because the corporations are people, and people don't understand that. They're not people, they have the same rights. They're persons. Right? Men can be corporations, but corporations cannot be men. That's a little math for you, a little logic and reasoning. But the idea that that corporation is going to put all the other corporations or cartels that are in competition with it out of business is a fact. And then it's going to be very interesting to see how many of those in the corporation that are guilty as sin of taking part in traffic, whether it's trafficking of flesh and see, we have, some of them are good men doing bad things, but many, many of them, and this is the problem for a lot of Democrats who are atheists and complete boneheads when it comes to understanding that we are in fact in a battle, oldest battle in the world, good versus evil. And the evil guys are evil. And they do evil things. And some of them do evil things just for being evil. There's no other reason. You can't fathom it because you're not evil. You wouldn't think that way. You would never, a lot of things that these people do would never even cross your mind. And then when you find out about it, you go into cognitive dissonance because you can't believe it. And then when you do believe it, like me, it'll make you angry because this shouldn't be going on. They shouldn't even be happening. This guy tried to tell you about it, actually, Bob. But anyhow, the idea that it's just Democrats or it's just Republicans or it's just these guys, right? It's just Jews or it's just Muslims or it's just Christians or it's just, no. They're all involved in depending, right? Doesn't matter their color, doesn't matter their political beliefs, doesn't matter their religious beliefs. They have gone under the whore of Babylon for money. And I've seen it. I've seen young, good-looking guys, like 20-something years old, got paid $1,200 bills to traffic a van load. It was a U-Haul full of women and children. And the reason why he got busted was because why are you driving a U-Haul in the middle of the desert? He was way off the roads and so forth. Anyway, he got busted. And of course, $1,200, and he knew there were women and children there, and he knew that the things that they do, that the women and children are the product. You don't understand. They're not necessarily here to do labor. They're not even here to do sex. They're here for as a product. So if they're having sex, they'll probably be filmed and probably killed during it because there's apparently quite a market for that. And then the children, but also for the organs and blood. And this is something that people don't even want to talk about because we'll talk about the Chinese and we'll talk about, what was that movie? Oh, it's only happening down there in Colombia. No, it's happening right here. It's happening like right here. There's 1,000 children missing in this city right now as I speak. 1,000 kids missing on Big Island. 100 kids missing on Maui. 50 kids missing. How you fucking lose kids on Maui? How you lose kids on Big Island? Scott Ling, you watching this? How the hell you lose kids on Big Island? And then here, turns out that usually, if you take a closer look, CPS and police and judges are involved. Because the money is insane. It is by far, the most profitable, lucrative of the trafficking. Way more than drugs, way more. And it's still going on. It is the peculiar institution is what it's known as. And the peculiar institution never went away. In fact, it was codified in the U.S. Constitution right around 14th Amendment. Made everybody. Now, what we got here is some big changes going on, and you can see it all over the place. You can see the Democrats freaking out. You can see Republicans freaking out. You can see lots of people who are dirty are freaking out. It's awesome to watch. You can see it in their face. If you guys have any quote-unquote extra powers where you can read aura or demeanor and so forth, you can see they're fully starting to panic because they're busted. Stone cold busted. And this time, probably not going to get away with it. Hard to tell how it goes, but I'll tell you, here in Phoenix, I don't see the ghost towns that they're talking about. I do see a lot of the homeless people on the streets. I do see gang members. I saw a couple of them today because their tats tell you who they are and who they owe allegiance to and so forth. And they're just shopping in Walmart. They're not bothering nobody, right? They're not trying to mug anybody. They're just buying shit in Walmart like everybody does because they got to eat too. The money that they may have be spending might have been gotten illicitly by profits from women or children or fentanyl or whatever it is their particular organization deals in. Probably not used books, but the idea is these guys definitely are out and about here in Phoenix. And the things that I've seen so far don't lead me to believe much of the things that I'm seeing in social media. All right, is that round enough about? I've talked about all kind of stuff. What else can I talk about? Oh, because like I said, I'm just blabbing. It's like being on the radio, except I don't have a break for music. Um, Identify as a horse. I have people trying to tell me, let's talk about this real quick, that somehow this is going to make you sterile. Okay, I know people personally that have polo ponies that are 10, 12, $15,000. Those are the cheap ones. They use ivermectin. I know people that have thoroughbreds. Those are like $650,000 animals. You're not going to sterilize your $650,000 animal. You can also just go Mahawao, Dickie's Broke Dick Ranch, right there in Mahawao. He runs goats. He doesn't use this kind of ivermectin. He uses the one that you pour. And I've done it because he used to run goats on my property, like 30, 40 head. And once in a while, you take the liquid ivermectin, right, the topical ivermectin, and you pour it in the back of their necks. And every time, and by the way, most of the goats are females. So the idea being that because you want to have a baby in the belly and one on the ground, that's how you run a herd. If the ivermectin was sterilizing them, there wouldn't be a baby in the belly and there wouldn't be one on the ground, and the goat herd would have been, because they've been doing this since when it was the 90s, early mid 90s, or mid to late 90s. The goats are still there, and those aren't the same goats. Those are the children of the children of the children of the goats that were running on my property. This stuff, the story that this stuff started, that's yet another story. Okay, find out about this. Men have died trying to tell you about this. So maybe you honor their sacrifice and not be an ignorant ass and find out about this. Matt Hazen, I'm talking about you. That would be the CEO of this company. All right, I'm pow for now. But my point is that it's not a ghost town. Still plenty of Mexicans running around. Still people smoking weed on the streets right here. Walk past numerous of them. And the idea that those people should ever have been put in a jail cell for simply smoking weed is insane. And I didn't finish that thought either. Standing on stickers, wearing masks, taking shots, reeking of hand sanitizer. Okay, that's bad enough, right? And then smug about it. But then you want to try and tell me this bitch is black. You're going to tell me, right? My son's particularly, what's the word? Am I going to say offended? I don't think the word is offended. That's not the right word. But really, white liberal girls, you're going to tell us how black Kamala is. When in fact, we can go back to that for just a second. Let's see. Indians, they came to Jamaica. Why did they come to Jamaica? Because of the slave trade. And they were Candace Owens, Janet Jackson, several other black women, actual black women, those of us that came from the continent. And see, me, I come from a very special place like Obama because I grew up in Hawaii. I didn't grow up in no hood, right? My dad black, though. I can show you a newspaper with my dad handing a check to Malcolm X's widow. Like, he wasn't just, he was active, let's put it that way. But see, I got nigger rights, and I know one when I see one, and that wasn't one. That's an Indian woman. So for you guys to try and tell us that she black, when clearly she was just pandering, and further, not just black, a prosecutor in California, who, and if you know anything about prosecution, they're bonding, right? They're making free men, bonded free men is what they're doing. You got to understand, you got to take a closer look at our prison industrial complex, because like I said, the peculiar institution is alive and well in this country. And she admitted the fact that a lot of those guys should have been set free, but they couldn't afford to lose the labor. Because your prison system is, for the most part, a system of statutes where they enforce statutes on men and then bond them, create fictitious debts. And if you can't pay the debt, you go to prison. And they were doing this to people that were just smoking weed. And now Kamala want to tell you she was black. And who was most of the men that she put? Not all of them, but who was what color were most of the men? Jay, my Pookie made a very good point today. It's not a race war. It's a class war. It's about money. Because you know what? Wealthy black men, they ain't sitting in prison. Right? Poor black men are. Wealthy Mexican men, they ain't sitting in prison. Wealthy white men ain't sitting in prison. Poor people are, though. because they rely on public defenders and they don't understand how the system works, and they literally volunteer to go sit in the cell. But they don't know they're volunteering. But anyway, this was Kamala's job. She was a prosecutor. And what she did was put men whose major crime, in some cases, because some of them deserve to go because they're violent and they're ugly and they do horrible things. But the ones that were sitting in their living room smoking weed, or the ones that were cultivating plants in their backyard, or wherever they were, going away for 10, 20, 30 years, we should be ashamed. And then you wanted her to be president. And then you had the fucking balls to try and tell me that that woman was black. When clearly, she don't know shit about being black. I know, like I said, I grew up in Hawaii, and I know a little bit more about that culture than she did, clearly. But for you to do, you're beyond the pale now. You don't understand. Like with my boys and myself and quite a few other people, even if you have a good point, we're not listening to you. Even if you're correct, we're probably not listening to you. Right? Why? Because you couldn't really, you're going to try and, never even held a primary, took over for a man who was maybe incompetent, maybe not. He might have been incompetent because he don't want to get prosecuted. Kind of like that's a mafia boss technique. But the idea, never held a primary, and then she want to tell us she black? And then when you say she not black, you get attacked by white women? Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, nothing you say until you're fucking dead is gonna ever matter to me again. Ever. Like anything, it's just blah, blah, blah. Right? I'll tell you a great story. I know a guy. Happens to be royalty on a Pacific island. An actual prince. Okay. His girlfriend is not a nice woman. And she, blah, 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 doesn't faze him at all. And if you ever talk to him, the reason why it doesn't faze him is because it's a woman talking. It makes no difference. It's just like when I hear these guys trying to say that, who's going to pick our fruit? Only 1% of these guys. The migrants are actually there, and yeah, they want cheap labor, and yeah, they're going to replace guys with robots. Like the robot thing, there's another thing I could talk about for an hour. That's coming like a bat out of hell. But the idea is these guys, they told you a story, and then you repeated the story. And anything you say now just tells me that all you do is parrot a story. And the story was that this woman somehow from Jamaica was not an Indian, but now suddenly black. I noticed that J.D. Vance's wife is actually similar in many ways to Kamala, but she don't call herself black because she's Indian. And see, when you try to do that kind of stuff, right? And then, what was this? Was this not the party of cultural appropriation? Trying to tell white people that they can't wear their hair like mine? Trying to tell people, right? Okay. And then you're going to come and try and tell us that this woman is black? I'm sorry. Fuck you till you're dead. Till the day you die. Nothing else that comes out of your mouth is going to be of any consequence. And I guarantee it. And see, not just me, not just my boys. Lots and lots and lots of black men felt exactly the same way. And then you motherfuckers going to start talking about how you guys ain't, you're not pulling your weight, you're being traitors. No, we're not voting for, well, I wasn't going to vote anyway, but no, they're not voting for a woman who tells you she's one thing when she's clearly not that thing. And again, they try to make it about race. It's not about race. It's the guys that have money versus the guys that don't have money. And if you haven't figured that out, right? And if you got a couple $100,000, or even if you got $1 million, you ain't one of the guys with money, right? You live on Maui and you got a nice house in Kula, and you're pulling down $200,000-300,000 in interest from your, more than that, probably 120 to 243. I see. I grew up around trust fund babies. Out of your trust, and you got that ain't you. You're still not one of them. You comfortable, you got everything, but you ain't one of them. You don't understand. These guys are not the same as us. I tutor some of their kids. They don't think like we do. right? They have billions of dollars, billions with a B, thousands of millions. It's not the same mentality, trust me, at all. And a couple of them motherfuckers took it. I don't want to get into it because, anyway, but a couple of these billionaires actually got fooled too. So some of you guys got to cut some of these guys slack, especially when the ones that figured out they made a mistake and they want forgiveness. You got to forgive those guys. But the ones that are still trying to pretend like they didn't do anything wrong and you should have done it too, and I did it out of love, man, you idiots. And then they wanted to tell us that this woman was black. You went beyond the pale. And when you lose that kind of respect and when you get that far jumping the shark, or you cross the bridge and then turn around and burn it, you're right, I'm never going to come over. You can jump and I'll watch, but other than that, you're gone forever. Come to my page, write whatever you want, doesn't matter, right? Oh, you're getting upset, you're homophobic. No, we're not phobic, we're not transphobic. I grew up around in Whitehate, we have mahoos all day long. Fauci killed them too with AZT. Same fucking modus operandi, but that time it was gays, so nobody cared. This time it's everybody. But same fucking thing. They made you afraid of something, and then they made you take a drug, and it was the drug that killed you. It wasn't the thing. It wasn't the AIDS. Now, here's a clue. Really, Magic Johnson is the first one. Magic Johnson survived AIDS because he was Magic Johnson. Hurts my feelings, actually. Anyway, the point being that you can write whatever you want all day long. I don't care. And it mostly makes me laugh. Right? I got guys coming, I mean, especially on Crewton Ramone's House of Math. And I'm going to make a whole video about that because I got people leaving me bad reviews. And it's impossible for you and I to do what they do on their reviews. So they make it so that you can't see the replies and you can't. Anyway, so clearly it's part of Facebook. But the point is that if you come there trying to tell me Kamala's black, or trying to tell me that just, the numbers that Ed Dowd's talking about aren't real, or that we're not going to have any more people working in the fields because the 1% of the guys coming across the border. Okay, what if it was 2%? It's still 98% of them are making money for the hospitalists. Right? Masons, in case you were unaware. The Masons are making money for each other. They run this country, and they're making huge amounts of money. And then, in some of the states' right states, they're going to make tons of money defending and making court. And every time you go into court, there's all kind of fees and money for those people. Anyhow, open your eyes and wake the fuck up, because things are about to change. And see, this is the part, this is the chaos, this is the vibration before things organize at a higher level. Now, it either breaks apart, and I don't think it's going to. Sometimes they want you to think it is so that you're afraid and so that you'll ask for their answer. Like right now, right? Oh, all these people that have come across the border. So now what do we need? We need a national ID so we can make sure that you're one of us and not one of them. So here. Anyhow. Oh, that was the other news, and I don't have it handy. My boys, one boy got a 5-star passport and one boy got a 4-star passport, and they're still not 100% sure how that all works. And then an interesting thing I found out about the passports is that when you get the right kind of, when you get the right kind of passport, you're going to notice that your passport picture on your passport card and your passport ID is in black and white. Here's your clue. Wizard of Oz starts out in black and white, and then she goes into the land of Oz, and it's all in color. But when she started out in Kansas, Dorothy was in black and white. And when she leaves the land of Oz and comes back to Auntie Em and them, it goes back to black and white. Anyway, if you know what you're doing, 4- and 5-star passport, 5-star passport, not that big of a deal. Because all you're going to do is tell them the truth. Me and that all caps name, not the same thing. But you got to be able to do more than that. And you can't stand there on the side of the road and be like, I don't consent. You don't have no authority over me. He got a gun. That's all authority he needs. So until you get your paperwork together, because I've seen this now numerous times, if your paperwork's together, they take your ID. You're not gonna roll up your window and be like, "I don't talk to cops." Fucking talk to the cop. He's over there. You were doing something, or he wouldn't have stopped you. And then you hand them the thing and say, "Here, run this," and then they say, "Have a nice day," because statute. And you think it's impossible, and that's conspiracy theory, but I've fucking seen it with my own eyes, so shut the fuck up. Again, you sticker standing, mask wearing freak who tries to tell me that Kamala's black. Shut the fuck up. Right? Wake up. There's paperwork to be done. There's stuff to do. And things are about to change massively. Right? So, number one is get the naughty people that we let in. It's the same party, right? Like I said, it's 1/10. They're just ruling you. Anyway, so they let them all in so that now you can say, we got to get them all out. And then they can say, well, we got to get them all out, and then we got to be able to tell the difference between you guys. I'm not fooled. I don't know. Maybe you are. But most people can see right through that one. And a lot of people are still going to do it anyway. Just like I had a lot of people, they knew it was bullshit. They put their mask on, they walked into the restaurant, and then they took their mask off. Instead of just going, fuck it, I'm not doing this. They played along. You know who the fuck you are. Right? And then made fun of me for not playing along. And then they try to force me to play along. And then certain members did, and I played along for just a little bit, for like 2 or 3 days, literally. But overall, during that whole time, you ain't gonna see a picture of me with a mask on. You ain't gonna see a picture of me with my band-aid going, I'm a dumbass. None of that. You're not gonna see, right? Okay. Didn't any test I took was under duress. Uh, but fortunately, there's spit tests. I never did any nasal swab. Not one single nasal swab. Get that fucking shit away from me. Fuck you, you fucking idiot. You don't even know what the hell you're doing. PCR test, really? Actually, because here's the problem. I can do math, and it turns out a lot of people can't do math. And a lot of people, it's to the point where they don't understand the difference. That a guy that can do math can look at some of this stuff and just go, bullshit. 2 weeks to flatten the curve? What the fuck? What statistics class did you take? The fuck is wrong with you? And then everybody, oh yeah, we're going to stay inside. Okay, a bullshit. I could call bullshit, but nobody believes you, right? Because I'm just some fucking guy talking on, right? Crewton Ramone got a website. When they're talking about the immigrants that we're gonna, prices of food are gonna go up because there's nobody. It's 1% of the fucking population. You know who's gonna be hurting is the hospitalers that don't have all these rooms filled anymore. So maybe you guys should start traveling. Anyway, I'm gonna call it a day. Let's call this a day. I did it here. Oh shit! All this time there was people. Yeah, you're late. And I've been going for a while. I love it. Pod Johnson. How long ago did you make the comment? 22 minutes ago. Okay, and like you guys are the only guys that watched. But I can do a little bit more here on Facebook, believe it or not, than you can on YouTube. So what I'll do is I'll download this video and then put it up on YouTube. And then I'm going to make a video on YouTube. And then I'm going to make some videos over at Crewton Ramone's House of Math that have nothing to do with politics. It's just all about math and me making my websites spiffy and cool and building all these cool web pages and adding videos and PDFs and all kind of fun stuff. So not appropriate for here because nobody cares. And actually nobody cares anyway, but you know what I mean. I'm talking politics and so forth here and general observations, and it will be different when I go and make videos for Crewton Ramone's House of Math. And it will also be different when I make videos for the 100 Monkey because I'm even worse over there. And starting to find a tribe because there's a lot of people now. Brandon Joe Williams. Actually, I'm not going to name any more names than that. We'll just stick with Brandon Joe Williams because he's here on Facebook. But there's a lot of different people now that are starting to wake up to the fact that, wait a minute, there is paperwork to be done. And there's a little bit of an issue because even when you get your paperwork done, there's nobody in the Republic to enforce it because the Republic is pretty much empty. And what we have is the corporation running things. And they don't want you to know about the Republic, and they don't want you to know about the multiple constitutions. They don't want you to know that we're under martial law and have been since the 1860s. And they don't want you to know about what happened in 1872 with the silver, and then 100 years later, actually 99 years later, they did it with the gold and took us off the gold standard. And then in 1982, they got rid of the copper, and now it's 100% paper. Oh, and I was in an interesting place today, and it was fun because we were dealing with money and lots of bills. These are all just little bills. These are all just $1 bills. But there was a pile of money there, and I just said, take a look at your pile of money. I'm going to mention this here, and you can make comments. And look at the date, and what you're going to notice on the date, this is a little happy little $1 bill. Where is it? Look at the date. There were a few of these printed in 2021, ones and fives. But other than that, you can't find a bill later than 2017. And there was a pretty good sized pile of money there, all kind of denomination, hundreds, 20s, 50, every single one of them. And see, the guy went through it because he was like kind of like skeptical, and him and I think it was his mom were going through these, and he looks and he looks, and he goes, okay, just these four. And I said, those are all after 2017? He goes, oh no, before. I'm like, yeah, see, 2017 and before. They haven't printed money in any large quantity since 2017. That's a clue. And maybe you know what it means and maybe you don't. But the idea is that if you look at your bills, you're going to see that there's a very few, and I think I found three of them once, and they were super crispy and lovely that I got from Whole Foods, and they were printed in 2021. But every other bill I'm looking at, this one, 17, 17, 17, 17, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a $5 bill. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I got 7 ones here, not one of them after 2017. Well, actually, that's not true. One of them, because I spent the other one, it was made in 2021. And then this $5 bill right here is... Ugh, and I can't read them. And I don't have my happy magnifying glass, which is always here, except for when I want it. And do I have a pair of glasses? No, I'm just curious. And there's my magnifying glass. There you go. Okay. Let's see what it says. It says... $2021. Okay, ones and fives. You might find a few of those. All the rest of these, except for one. And again, you won't find 18, you won't find 19, you won't find 20. You'll find 21, you won't find 22, you won't find 23. 17 and below. Just look through your pockets and see if I'm lying. All right, that's the last part of it. I'm going to call it a day. Crewton Ramone's House of Math, if you want help with math. Crewton Ramone, I'm trying to just shitpost here and put lots of memes, and some of it's political, but mostly it's just for shits and giggles and make you laugh so that you don't, stuff's happening and you need to put a smile on your face now and then, keep your mental attitude happy. But e pluribus unum, we're going to get through this. Some of us are going to prosper and some of us aren't. If you arm yourself with knowledge, the chances of you prospering are much, much higher. All right, I'll talk to you guys again soon. E pluribus unum, crime stoppers.